Okay, hello everybody. Today I want to talk about local LLMs, local hardware, the various options you have if you want to run AI at home, the costs, and just generally my experience. So, some background, I built a home lab about 6 months ago, give or take. I started building it, and I really wanted to buy a Mac M3 Ultra. That was my initial thing. And I wanted to do this because I am very severely dependent on these models. I use them a lot. They have become very important for my work, and it's just part of my lifestyle. And I could definitely quit, but it would take me a long time to just get back to the normal groove of doing things myself. And also, I enjoy it. So I really enjoy it. And I think that this is a very cool field, regardless of whether it goes well or it doesn't. I think it's a very cool field. And so I started experimenting on my MacBook. So I have a MacBook with 32 gigabytes of RAM or shared memory. And I started running local models. And this was around the time GPT OSS came out. And I ran it and I was able to do a little bit of RAG. It was able to do a little bit of deep research. It wasn't great. It was like pretty dumb and it hallucinated a lot, but it got me interested and I found it to be very cool. And so I decided I wanted to buy a Mac M3 Ultra. I'm currently living in Europe. I'm originally from the US. So when I started looking and like the tariffs and the taxes and all this stuff, it kind of put me off. And I started looking into other options. So today we're going to be talking about the various options that you have when getting into local hardware for running LLMs, what you can do with it, the costs, the like various gotchas that I had to experience over the last few months, and hopefully this will give you an idea of what it's like, and maybe you will be able to make a better decision on whether you want to purchase or rent or keep using the cloud. Also, this serves as a record for essentially my decisions and how well they go into the future. Now, there are a few options when it comes to local LLMs, and I will take three general options that I want to talk about. One is Nvidia. This is the most popular. Almost everybody, all the labs are using Nvidia, unless they're using the Google TPUs, which are not generally accessible to consumers, unless you're renting them. So we have one, which is Nvidia. It's the best, it's the fastest, it's the strongest, and it's the most expensive. Two is the Max, and I feel it's the most popular with consumers right now because a Mac M3 Ultra is relatively cheap. And yeah, $10,000 is cheap. It kind of is when you go into this world, and we can do some math and figure out why later. The third is the AI Ryzen cards. So these are 128 gigabytes of memory, and they are in the framework laptops and a lot of the other AI tools. So these are like the most popular three options that you have. There are other ones, and we can touch on them slightly later, but let's start with the top three. So I want to start with setting how this is going to work. Let's say we have a budget of $10,000, and this is just for the sake of understanding and researching, and then we can go back and adjust the budgets for like various model types and what we could do with that. But let's assume that we have $10,000 as our budget. We want to run AI at home, and we have various priorities. One is privacy. Maybe another is ease of use. Maybe instead of ease of use, it's speed. And we can think about what we can do. So taking $10,000 and looking at Mac to start and Apple, we can go here. And this is the Mac Studio M3 Ultra. This is the most popular right now in the Mac world, besides the small ones. But if you're going to run big models, this is what you would usually go with. Now, if I wanted to have 512 gigabytes of unified memory, I could run very large models. I can run Minimax M2.1 at full precision. I can run GLM 4.7 at FP8. I can run a 4-bit quantization of DeepSeek, and I can maybe run a 2 or 3-bit quantization of Kimi K2 thinking. And these are the top open weight models that are out there. So all of the largest ones, they rank on the artificial analysis as the best models. We can take a look for a second. Artificial analysis. These are the highest ranking open weight models that we have available to us right now. So yeah, you could see here Kimi K2 thinking, GLM 4.7, and Minimax M2.1. Mimo Flash as well. You can run it in you can run it in FP8. So the Mac M3 Ultra looks like a good option because for $10,000, we could get all of the models that are open weight that are good on our machine running at home. The price is $9,499. This is prior to tax. After tax, it might change, but you can also get them used for about $6,000 to $8,000. It really depends on where you're looking and the time, like how rushed the person is to sell it. But you could get it for as low as like $6,000, which is what I've seen in some places. But they're very rare and far between. So why isn't everybody using this? Why aren't all the large labs using this? Mainly two reasons. One is that Apple does things its own way. It has its own system called MLX, and a lot of the software that has been built for LLMs exists on Mac, but it's like its own thing. So it's not fully compatible with the Nvidia stuff, which is mainly what everybody has been building on. And then two is speeds. So for a Mac M3 Ultra, if you take a Minimax M2.1, you run it in full precision. This is a 230 billion active parameter, so 230 billion parameter model with 10 billion active parameters. So the amount of active parameters is actually tiny. It could fit on a phone, right? But the issue there is that you still have to load the whole thing into memory, which means you need a lot of VRAM, otherwise it's going to be very slow. So you have the whole thing in unified memory. You will get between 30 tokens per second for generation to about 40 tokens per second for generation. And then for prefill, so this is the prompt processing speeds, you will get somewhere around like 200 to like maybe 300 tokens a second. This is good for this specific model and almost exclusively this specific model for one reason. And that is the active parameters, so 10 billion active parameters. It doesn't require a lot. For a model like GLM 4.7, it's going to be significantly slower, going between 10 tokens per second to 20 tokens per second, maybe a little more if you like optimize it, but then as the context window fills up, it gets slower and slower to generate. For Kimi K2 thinking, you will get like maybe 5 tokens a second to maybe 12 tokens a second, which is extremely slow. You cannot do that. It's like, you're not going to be able to read it. So taking the Mac and looking at why we would choose this, what are the pros? For $10,000, you can run almost all of the models at home, almost always in high precisions. Two is it's small. It fits on a desk. It's very quiet. It's very clean. The design looks good, and it could be used for a bunch of other stuff aside from this. It could be a great video editing device, and yeah, and it's a beautiful device, and it's very quiet, and the electricity is low. So it only uses about 250 watts at peak, maybe a little bit more sometimes, and that means your electricity bill is going to be something like $30 to $40 a month just for the device if you're running it 8 to 10 hours a day. If you're running it 24/7, maybe up to $100 a month, give or take, maybe less. But the speeds are very low. So you can't really run GLM 4.7 and expect to be able to code with it, right? Because when you're coding, you want that fast feedback loop. You can definitely like get it running and then just have it code by itself all night, but you can't control it and you just can't really work with it fluidly. And I think we're all used to using Claude, and this is probably what's getting us to think maybe I should get some home lab, set up, or like a device and start running local models. So if that's your goal, if your goal is to code with it, if your goal is to do like data analysis and stuff, you have Minimax M2.1, which is the only thing that actually makes sense to run on a Mac Ultra. I would recommend in this case that you rent the Minimax M2.1 model. So you can just basically pay for a subscription, or you can get some API credits on OpenRouter and then use it for a week and then see if you like it. And if you like it, also try using GPT 5.2 codecs or 5.2 and then see the speeds of how fast that goes and see if that's acceptable to you. If that's the case, this is the best investment you can make from an AI standpoint. I think this year there will be a Mac M5 Ultra, which is supposed to be faster. MLX itself, the software that runs and does the model, that hosts the models, it is getting faster and faster every year, but that will only probably work for newer hardware. Also, one big thing is that you can network these things much better than you could before. There is software called EXO and Parallax that allows you to take multiple Macs and put them together, and it actually speeds up the inference like pretty significantly, like up to maybe 2x. And that's like $10,000 increments of stacking, or you can like get one Mac Ultra and then get some Mac Studios. There's different ways that you can go about it. A MacBook, but that gives you an idea of Mac. So it's great. It's cheap, comparatively, and you can also get a MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro with the M5 Max or M4 Max or whatever, and it'll cost you around $4,500. It'll give you 128 gigabytes of mixed memory, and you can run large models on that. Not like super large, but large enough that you can do cool things with it. You can probably get mini Max in 4 bits. You can get GLM at lower bits, and you can do a bunch of cool stuff there. So for Mac, you can get, again, various steps of different hardware that you use. So let's say you have a MacBook Pro, that's your like layer one. You have 64 gigabytes of VRAM, that's your entry point. You can run models like GLM 4.7 Flash, which is, in my opinion, an excellent model. It's very good. We can take a look at it right here. This is a 30 billion parameter model, so you can run it in FP8 on a Mac without a problem. And I've used this model like pretty heavily. I have videos about it. If you want to go check my channel out, you can see how it works. Now let's go to Nvidia. So for Nvidia, you have a few different tiers, entry points of hardware that you could get. You have, in my opinion, the top three are: one, the RTX 3090s. So if your goal is to enter into this and just start buying incrementally and grow this thing until you feel comfortable, the 3090s are probably the most like accessible building block, because the price of one goes between $700 to $1,000, depends on where you are. In Europe, it's more expensive, so it's $1,000. And what this lets you do is basically stack 3090s together, and you can start running larger and larger models. The speeds are really good, and the entry, to get into this is pretty cheap. So you can start with like $1,000, right? You can get 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and you can run small models and see how that goes, and you can start stacking them up until you feel satisfied. Two issues with this. One is the space that it takes up. We can take a look at how this is my 3090 stack. I have 8 of them right now. So like this is 8 right here, and this is taking up about 10 to maybe 10% of the room, because you also need the space around it. And I have a pretty big office. So, and it also is generating heat a lot. So if you're sitting there and working and it's sitting next to you, it's going to take up a lot of heat. And in the summer, you'll have to have an air conditioner running all day if you want to sit in the same room as it, which means your electricity costs are going to double. Each 3090 uncapped, so when you buy it without like putting a cap on it, is going to take up to 400 watts of power at max. When you're running it basically at max capacity. So if you have then 8 of them and you're not capping, that's 3,200 watts an hour. And there is no circuit in any like house that can supply that. So you'll have to cap the wattage on these GPUs. And it's not hard to do. It's just like 2 commands in your terminal, and it's good to go. But for me, I'm capping them at 160 watts. So this is 40% of the total possible wattage that I use, and I am taking about a 20% cut in speed. So it's like 20% slower because I do this, and still it's 102,000 watts to run just the GPUs all at any point. So you could see here, we could go and we can say, please, there you go. Please explain game theory. And we can open a new link and take a look at the speeds here. So this is my home lab setup, and you can see right now it is 875 watts, which is a lot. So this is like an air conditioner that's running in my room, and in the summer I will need to also run an air conditioner on top of that. If you're in the United States, even then it would still be hard, because a single circuit, usually is like a room, and that circuit can, in the United States, only give up to like 18, I don't know, like 1,600 watts at peak. And so you are not able to run 8 of them in the United States at the same time. You have to only run 4, and you have to power cap them, or you need to get an electrician to come in and change your circuit, or you're going to need to put the machine in the basement where usually they have higher voltage outlets that you can use. So that's a big concern when you are trying to run a 3090 farm. Another thing is that with GPUs, with Nvidia, you want powers of 2. You don't want 5 3090s. You want 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And you want that for tensor parallelism. Now, you could make it work without tensor parallelism, but it just becomes very slow. So once you get to 8, in order to get any more benefit, you need to kind of double. And that means you need to spend another $8,000. And this is the problem with 3090s, is that this is essentially the peak in a household. 8 of them, that's as much as you can run without destroying basically your house and living conditions. There are 2 other GPUs in the Nvidia realm that are worth talking about. I would not touch the 4090s or the 5090s. I don't see any reason for that. They're just way more expensive, and they're generally the same amount of VRAM. And the most important thing is VRAM and speed, VRAM and bandwidth. So the other 2 are the RTX Pro 6000, the 96 gigabyte VRAM card, which is about $7,000 used to about $10,000 new, and in Europe, like $11,000. It's 96 gigabytes of VRAM, so it's essentially like 4 3090s, but it's double the price. So you can see per gigabyte for 3090s, you're paying about $40. For the RTX Pro 6000, you're paying about $90 per gigabyte. So if you want 100 gigabytes, that means here you need to pay like what, $4,000, and here you need to pay like $9,000, right? Which is very expensive. But the benefit here is that each one only takes up to like 350. You can power cap it and put it at like 150. And so you can start stacking the RTX Pro 6000s. You can have 4 or 8 of them in a single house to get from 384 gigabytes of VRAM for 4 to double that with 8. And if you have the money, that's probably the best investment you can make as like a home labber, unless you have like a bunch of money to throw on H200s or whatever. Now, we came in with $10,000. So basically we got 8 3090s, and we got some RAM, some DDR4 or DDR5, whatever. We got a motherboard, a CPU, and that's it. $10,000 is gone. And we have 192 gigabytes of VRAM. So we can run Minimax M2.1 in 4-bit or 6-bit. We can run GLM 4.7 REAP in 4-bit. We can run KMK2 in 1-bit, and etc. So that means that it's good enough, and I think it's fine. The last option for NVIDIA that I will talk about are these 4080 Supers. So the RTX 4080 is like an NVIDIA card that has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Typically, it sells for like $800, so it doesn't make sense. You would rather buy the 3090. In Shenzhen, in China, they take 2 of those, they crack them open, and they put them on the same card. So you have 32 gigabytes of VRAM per card. So that means if you have 8 of them, you have about 256 gigabytes, which is like 60 more than what I have, which is great. And I would love that. And I would have probably went with that if I had started over. Just it doesn't make sense for me to go with that now, because I would rather all of the GPUs be the same type, and that saves a bunch of headaches. But for about $1,300, if you're buying 8 of them, you're probably going to get it for cheaper. So for $10,000, yeah, you can get like 256 gigabytes of VRAM with NVIDIA, which is a good middle point. These are like not it's not illegal. It's definitely legal, but it's essentially not like how the manufacturer produced it, so you have no recourse. If it comes in and it's messed up, you're screwed. But they've been selling these in China for a very long time. A lot of people depend on them, and I think they are good, right? And I would have rather bought this now that I know, because I would have spent generally the same amount of money and got basically 2-3 GPUs for free. Now, that's NVIDIA. we can also go and talk about framework. So framework, and really what I'm talking about is the AI Ryzen chip in the framework desktop. So the AMD Ryzen AI, it has 128 gigabytes of memory. So it's LPDDR5X, and it's it's decent. I've heard from a lot of people. I've personally not tried it yet, and I actually have it on my list for this week. Somebody gifted me some credits, and I will try to run models on these types of these types of chips. But the support for it is less mature. I've heard a lot of people say it takes a lot of tinkering, a lot more than what you would get with Nvidia, and definitely a lot more than Mac. But it's cheaper. So for the same price, that same $10,000, we could have, let me see, we could have 384 gigabytes. So that means you can run GLM 4.7 in 4-bit, or in full capacity with very little context. And it's the second highest on the list. From the cost to VRAM perspective. The speed is slower, and you can see it's slower than a Mac, or maybe at this point it matches. I don't want to say for sure, so just take this with a pinch of salt, because take this with a grain of salt, because I'm not sure. But from all of the anecdotal evidence and the posts that I've read and the communities that I've been in, people like it. It has its issues. It might work for you. It's definitely a cheaper option, and it's easier to get at home. But at that point, I would just go personally with the Mac. Now, there are other types of cards and chips that you can go with to run local models. One of them that I find to be extremely interesting is the Atlas, Huawei Atlas cards. So they seem to have half of the capacity of a 3090, which means around the same capacity as a M3 Ultra, and they have more VRAM, and so you could get 480 gigabytes of memory for $10,000, maybe even more at this point. However, the software is very immature. It is from China, so the majority of the boards that you're going to find, the support that you're going to find is going to be in Chinese, and the models that you can run on it are going to be you can run all the same models, but the quantization types, it's just going to be very complicated and very hard to work with. But I think that this is a content gold mine. If somebody does this, no one else has done this, right? I've only been able to read about this from boards and Reddit. There isn't anything on YouTube. Maybe there is now, but there isn't much on YouTube that'll tell you about these chips and whether they work, and so I think this could be a gold mine in terms of content for somebody to go in and buy them and just basically start to play around and see what works. So essentially, this gives you an idea of the trade-offs that you'll be making if you want to purchase hardware for local models. I would rank it like this. If I had to rank it in a tier list, I would say for 95% of people, the M3 Ultra is the best bang for buck that you can get, especially if you're running smaller models and you're not trying to run the biggest models that you can. Nvidia is the best overall if you have the budget for it and if you're willing to tinker. I think it'll teach you a lot about how computers work, because you're doing very low level hardware stuff, and then not very low level, but you're doing hardware stuff. So you're putting these things together, you're networking them, you're setting them up into these motherboards, or building it from scratch. You can't really run it inside of a machine. If you have 83090s, you need to build your own. So for me, it's just a bunch of IKEA shelves and aluminum that I've stacked to make a rack for it. So that should give you an idea again. Now, in terms of local AI, where is local AI right now, I think is a very important question that either you're going to hear that it's way better than it actually is, or that it's way worse than it actually is, or you just don't know anything about it. Now, the local AI scene has improved drastically. You don't need to have that much hardware to compete now, and to be able to run local models. So this is GLM 4.7 Flash. It's a 30 billion parameter model. So at full precision, that means it's 60 gigabytes of memory. So you would need one RTX Pro, or 8 3090s, 4 3090s actually, to run this. and it benchmarks like crazy. So this model here is 91 on Amy, so it does good with math. It does good on humanities last exam. It does better than Sonnet 4.5 on humanities last exam. Does that mean it's a better model to work with? I don't know, but it does say something about it. For the software engineering bench, you could see that it's 60, and these were 6 months ago. GPT OSS was like 8 months ago, 34. Look, it's double so the options now are much better, and this was released like a few days ago. It runs really fast, and it can do coding like pretty good. I've tried it at home. There are videos on my channel that you can look at. So here is an example of what we want to do. Like, let's just say I want you to build me a snake game, playable in one HTML and JS file. Please make your spin on it. So I'm running GLM 4.7 Reap. This is a pruned version of GLM 4.7, which I've been using for about 6 months now. It's a very good model. Like, I've been using GLM 4.5 for about 6 months, and up to now 4.7. It's a very good model. It is like on the top. It's the top open weight model in terms of like a lot of the different benchmarks that you can do, and I've used them like pretty consistently over multiple repos. You could see here, for example, I will take a look. You can see here that I have GLM 4.7. This is my home lab. This is the one that I'm running at home, and this is the one that I am running via the API that I pay for. Let's take an example of factory desktop. And when you're running local models, there is this whole inferencing layer that you have available to you. What I mean by that is, let me see if this is going to open. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. I am trying to get this application over here, and let's take a look. So we have, let's see, what model do I have selected? All right, I'm running GLM 4.7 Flash. I should not have done that because it was in the middle of generating. Well, that was pretty quick for a snake game. Let's see. It's going to take a minute to load. I'm trying to optimize this, but I am trying to run GLM 4.7 Flash. You can see this is a small model. You can run it on a MacBook. Easy. I want you to use my Twitter data skill and look at /work/x and tell me, using my Twitter data, how much I spent on my 3090 farm. So why would you want to run local models? One is if you ever get cut off by the large labs, you can just keep going. It doesn't, like, it's not a problem. Like, this model here is definitely better than Sonnet in every way possible. It's very agentic, it's very small, and it's going through my Twitter data, and it's going to fetch me something. Maybe it'll fail at some point, but I can just restart it, and I can work with it, right? And there are models that are coming out that are better every day. Private data, all of your medical records, all of the stuff that there you go. So it fetched me my tweets. So this is going through my entire Twitter history, and it's fetching me tweets about what I spent on this local hardware. And I think this is an excellent example of what these things can do and why they're beneficial. You can process your own personal data. You can take everything, all of your bills, all of your invoices, all of your money, all of your conversations with all your friends. You can put them into RAGs. You can fetch data from them. You can use that to build stories, build applications. You can use that to just better understand who you are, build recommendation systems for yourself. There's many, many ways that you can improve your life using local LLMs. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I think I broke this one because I finished it too early. Yeah, I don't think it works. All right, that's okay. But I wanted to go here and take a look. So you could see that the model is running and is just getting all of the information for me, and it is excellent. Now, Is this worth $10,000? For most people, no. I would say for like if you don't have the money, there's no like you're never going to be able to beat the price of cloud. So with GLM, you could pay $3 a month and have access to this excellent model that can do everything Claude can do, everything GPT can do, that has vision models enabled, that has like agentic coding use cases, that is in the like top 5 or like top 10 models on humanity's last exam in artificial analysis. And that is good. That's good enough. Will it stay $3? Will it stay $6? We don't know. These things go up and down. Like prices change. Things happen. We don't know for sure. And I think this is another reason why you would want to get local hardware. I wouldn't tell you to go and take all your money and throw it on this stuff. I don't want to hype you up because they have a lot of flaws. They're not going to be as good as running Claude or GPT. If you are doing it for serious software engineering, I would say like this is probably not the best thing for you. If you're doing this to learn, if you're doing this to just have fun, to build applications, to see stuff, to like experiment, to have a digital assistant, this is a great option for you. And I would even argue that this is probably better for you in the case of having fun than just like paying for an API and a subscription, because we just don't know how long these are going to last. Some people say, okay, even if the prices that we are paying, these companies are profiting, right? $3 a month and they're making a profit. Even if that's the case, I don't know how long it's going to be the case that they can pay $3, that they're profitable at $3. Maybe they need more staff, maybe they need more machinery, maybe the market saturates, maybe chips get more expensive. We don't know. And it's always good to have a backup for all of the technology that you use. It's always good to use open source. It's always good to try to learn new things. And this tool is only becoming more and more important by the day. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. Going back to the tier list, I think if you are running stuff at home and you want to do private data analysis and you want to play around in code, maybe a Mac is the best option for you. If you want to get your hands dirty in hardware, maybe Nvidia is the best option for you. But regardless, before you do anything or you spend any money, realize that these things are flawed. Do your research. Try out actually renting. Like you can rent 3090s from the cloud and you can run local models on it, and you can try that for a week, and it'll cost you maybe $50, give or take, for a week. But it's worth it because maybe you'll learn that this is just not for you, right? Before you have all this hardware to take care of. Now, if you are looking to get the best deal in terms of the hardware, it's a very hard time. Mac is the only real option that's still stable at the pricing it's at. But Nvidia, like buying used, is generally the way to go. Make sure that when you do basically buy these GPUs, that you take them and you test them, and you make sure that they they're padded correctly, their temperatures are good, they're not breaking, because it'll be hard to fix it if that changes. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Please take a minute to and subscribe. I want to get to 100,000 this year, and I'll see you in the next one.